Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to episode 48 of the Alchemy Devlog. It's your pal Isaac here with the latest from the team. In this episode, we're going to dive into tracker updates, Twilight 2000, Step Dice in particular, and some system builder updates. I'll also take a few moments to talk about what the team's working on next, and answer a question from our Devlog Q&A form. If you have a question of your own that you'd like me to answer on a future episode, go ahead and click that link in the description below to send that my way. Let's dive in. All right, first let's take a look at all of these tracker updates. I'm going to jump into a game. Let's just use Outgunned as an example here. Some of the stuff I showed off last episode with Outgunned. So trackers, they're in all the systems. 5e has some hidden tracker things for GMs, but yeah, they're in all the systems. They're awesome. Everybody knows them. Everybody loves them. And they've gotten some big upgrades since last time. I kind of teased some of these updates, but let me show off what we have launched since then. So first up, you can now remove or reassign the player bar trackers. So these ones that show up in the UI for you can be removed from those positions, and they can also be reassigned. So first off, you have to go to the edit side of your sheet to do this. Go to the mechanics tab in this system in particular, and you can drag and drop to remove these from the player bar trackers, leaving a space there, and only the adrenaline tracker to be used, freeing up a little bit of space there, making things all lopsided, but whatever you want to do. We can also get rid of our adrenaline tracker here too. You can use right click to remove these from those spots as well, so you don't have to just drag them around if you don't want to do that. And now we have just the player avatar there and no tracker bars in the UI, freeing up a little bit of space. I know I've mentioned it before, you guys want a little bit more space here. You want this stuff out of the way. We're thinking about it. We're working on something. We'll come up with something cool there. But for now, you can free up a little bit of space there, but mostly this is about putting what you care about into those trackers. So let's say I didn't want the grit and adrenaline trackers there. I instead wanted, this probably doesn't make any sense for this game, but I wanted spotlight there. And then I wanted death roulette for the right bar. I could do that and put those into those spots and have them show up in my player bars here. And the other trackers show up over here in my tracker panel. Now, the other part of this update is the ability to drag and drop here to rearrange these in the tracker panel from the character sheet. So prior to this update, you couldn't rearrange these other than inside the tracker panel, which posed a problem in places where you couldn't actually get to that panel, like if you were a GM in a 5e game, for example. But now they can be dragged and dropped to rearrange them here to put conditions on top, conditions, grit, and adrenaline in our tracker panel, and those get rearranged nicely. Lastly, you can go in and set colors on each of these trackers. So right now the conditions are the outgunned red color, but we could change that to be yellow if we wanted to, and that's going to change the way that these condition tags render in that panel. So we don't actually have any added to this tracker at the moment, but let's go ahead and add one. Through the dropdown, let's put nervous in there. And now it's that nice yellow color. And you can do the same with the pip trackers and bar trackers as well. So for adrenaline, that's a pip. We'll change that to, let's go with the outgunned red, or let's make it something different since we're already using the theme color prior to this. So there it is, and it's nice red color. And we've also got the ability to do that to bars. So let's go ahead and add a bar tracker here. We'll just create a new one. We'll call it gas. I don't know, just making stuff up on the fly here. And we'll make it green. And now our gas bar tracker shows up over here in the nice green color that we wanted. So you can still drag and drop to rearrange these in the tracker panel if you want to. You can use the little drag handle on the side, or you can just click the whole thing and move it around to set that up wherever you'd like in the tracker panel. But you can also do that from the character sheet now as well. So quite a few nice updates to trackers across the board, and hopefully you all enjoy those. Next up, let's take a look at what we've done with Twilight 2000. So we've been talking about jumping back into our Year Zero engine games and making some updates, and we decided to start with Twilight 2000 because it was missing the ability to use step dice in any kind of meaningful way through the UI without having to do everything through the dice tray. So we've rolled out those updates here. Let me take a look on this player character. We now have the ability to assign dice to different attributes. So in this case, we're using the different lettered dice for this system. You have A, B, C, and D, which if you look at the dice tray correspond to a D12, a D10, a D8, and a D6, going from rank A to D. And you can assign those to your different attributes and skills here on your character sheet. So this is a new sheet builder feature that lets you pick from the dice that are defined in the system to assign those to attributes or skills. Now, when we go to actually use those, we can make a mobility check, for example. You can right-click and choose Step Dice to get a prompt to allow you to step the dice up or down as needed. So if we roll it as is, we'll roll at attribute rank C, which comes out as a D8. But if we wanted to step that up, we can choose Step Dice, bump that up to a rank B, and roll that again, and we will get a worse roll with a different die, a stronger die, a D10. So you can use that in the built-in skills. You can't use that in custom actions yet. So if you're defining custom actions, there's no way to make that prompt show at the moment, but that is something that seems like it would be helpful for this system. So we'll continue kind of adjusting this stuff and getting it dialed in. You can also step the dice for an attribute check, a raw attribute check in this, and just make that a rank A to roll our D12. Nice and easy. So we have a bunch more Year Zero engine updates kind of on our list and in the near future, but this is where we started with Twilight 2000, and it gives us a great foundation to start working with step dice in other systems as well. Next up, let's take a look at some system builder updates. So for this, I'm going to jump over to my content universes, and I'm going to jump into our system builder testing universe and go over to the system tab and take a look at my sheets. I'm going to go ahead and create a new sheet for this use case in particular, add a player character sheet, and we'll call it Devlog 48. We'll make that published just in case I end up needing to use it. And we've got our nice empty sheet. First up, we have some nice little changes to the attributes to block. So if I go over here and grab the smart block, this is for the vertical list of attributes. And you can now choose whether or not attributes can be quickly incremented or decremented with the plus or minus buttons by turning on this hide plus or minus buttons setting here at the bottom of the settings panel. So if we go ahead and add an attribute here, we'll call it strength and wisdom. The default for this type of attribute block is to give you those plus and minus buttons to quickly adjust that value up or down. Some systems that doesn't make any sense, so you now have the ability to hide those buttons and just have a plain field that you can type into to have it be whatever you'd like. Next up, the description block was updated to allow hiding the title of that block. So if we go back out to here and find that description block in our list of blocks, by default, it has a description title, but if you don't want that, you can just remove the label and it will just completely remove that heading, which is something we're trying to embrace throughout Sheet Builder. Anywhere that you're designing a block for a sheet, if you don't want it to have a title, you also probably don't want it to have a dividing line. If you do, you can bring that in another way through a heading. But this is the next step in making that consistent everywhere. So now you have a description block without a title. We also did the same thing, plus a little bit more, to the tactical smart block. So if you bring a tactical smart block out to the sheet, by default, it has the name tactical. Prior to this update, you couldn't change that, but now you can change it to be whatever you'd like, or you can remove it and have no title, just like the update we made for description. So small incremental improvements, still making some progress on System Builder and the Sheet Builder in particular, as we need it for different systems, and kind of just moving this thing along a little bit at a time. All right, other than that, this episode we have a grab bag of miscellaneous bug fixes and improvements. You can find out all about those in the release notes for this week. So have a look at those through the Flask icon if you haven't already. What is up next? Well, the biggest and most exciting thing that's up next is Call of Cthulhu. We actually just put that into beta with a group of beta testers yesterday as I'm recording. So we actually have the beta test running for that already, and so far the feedback has been pretty dang good. Let's take a look at what the beta looks like. So I'm going to jump over to the universe first and look at my purchased universes, and I've got in here the Call of Cthulhu universe and access to that beta module here. So we have a lot of great content in here, of course. All of the information about how to play Call of Cthulhu is broken up into all of these articles. We have the Alone Against the Flames, kind of choose your own adventure module built in here so that you can run that one with the starter set. And all the other information that you need to get Call of Cthulhu going. We've got a bunch of NPCs in here and a bunch of really cool pre-made characters so that your players can get started really quickly and just jump right into the game. Speaking of jumping right into the game, let's pop open the quick start for that and take a look. Of course, this is one of our enhanced titles from the Kickstarter, so we have these really cool animated scenes for each of the, well, we have a few. I think there's a handful of animated scenes here and then some static scenes as well. A lot of really great art available for this one. Let's take a look at the NPC sheet first. So we have a few NPC sheets available. There's beasts, monsters, deities, horrors, and an investigator sheet, which you can use to play the solo adventure as just a GM in the game by creating an investigator. Other than that, we've got these kind of standard NPC sheets in here. Let's take a look at Alex, who happens to be a zombie. You've got your characteristics and attributes all laid out with these nice Cthulhu-themed headers. We've got our combat stuff here, our different attacks. Your skills, this one happens to have a dodge skill. And then your standard mechanics. In this case, you've got the trackers here that you can do things with. And in this case, we only have a hit points tracker on the left bar. Let's jump over to our investigator and play a player and give them the pre-made character of Nevada Jones. So we have all of the character sheet fields just kind of mapped out to this custom character sheet for this system, and you can adjust all of your skills and their settings here in the investigator skills section. Similar to the NPC sheet, you've got a gear tab with your weapons, possessions, cash, and other assets. You've got your role-playing important fields for your backstory, significant people, all of that stuff here. And then, of course, you've got the mechanics field where you can set up your trackers, actions, and adjust your tactical mode parameters. When we jump in to play this character, we have the ability to make luck and sanity checks really quickly and easily from the skills panel. And you can also make skill checks here as well. You can roll these straight up. You can add a bonus or a penalty. And that adds additional dice to your pool. You've got your weapon actions already in here. We do not have the malfunction actions in yet, but that's coming soon. We're going to be working on a few more updates and enhancements to this as we go through the beta, and of course, addressing any feedback that the beta testers have. So all in all, we have a lot of progress done on Call of Cthulhu since last time, and I'm really excited to see what all of the beta testers come up with for this system, and it should be available pretty soon with the way things are going so far. We'll see. We don't have an ETA for release yet, but we are humming along in this quite nicely. Other than that, we are continuing to juggle various Year Zero Engine game updates, additional things for Twilight 2000 and other games. We have a lot of initiative updates we want to make to those games. I don't know if any of that's really going to move in the next 2 weeks, so before next episode, but there are things that are on our list that we're continuing to juggle. Also on our list still is City of Mist. We're kind of in the final stretch for that game, but we need to make a few kind of major updates to the way that trackers can be used in that game. And so there's kind of a lot that we need to invest in getting that one across the finish line. Still kind of on our list and continuing to move forward slowly. And lastly, we have some more exciting releases and updates coming that I can't quite talk about just yet, but stay tuned for more details. One of them is a very exciting new universe that our content ingestion team has been working on without any needs from the dev team. So something very cool there that I think we'll be releasing in the next week or two. So stay tuned for more on that. Let's head over to Q&A. All right, Devlog Q&A universe. Let's go down to the article for Devlog 48. Links in new browser tabs. May we have a parameter or add-on to the URL that forces a new browser tab? Many times when a character or system has too many details, we provide them a link either on Alchemy or off of Alchemy, for example, D&D Beyond, Google Drive, or a current world-building platform that we may have been using for years. Right now, the example is I have several character sections with many details. Heritage, where they're born or hail from, and all the sauce about the kingdom, town, etc. Religion and gods, enough said. Magic, I don't know many TTRPG systems that are not layered in details. Oh, magic systems in particular. These examples have way more details than can really be conveyed or should be conveyed on their sheet. And there are plenty of examples beyond this. So taking a step back really quickly, this is from Gray Lion, who is in our sheet builder beta, our system builder beta. So I know they've been working on some custom sheets where this may be coming into play. But I know it's also kind of just a general purpose thing too. So back to the question. In-game behavior. If I place a link to an article in their sheet and they click this in-game, they'll be ripped out of the game and go to the article, also losing any unsaved changes on their sheet. That's very bad. If I build the info as a button embed, then they go from their sheet modal into the linked modal without the ability to return to their position in the character modal, and it's also possible to lose any unsaved changes. This requires closing the modal and then viewing their character again to return to their previous position. That's also not great. In addition, if we want to provide info on an external site, let's say presenting details from D&D Beyond or thousands of articles of homebrewed content, then this link opens in a new tab just fine. So to sum it up, I can link players externally beyond Alchemy if I want to share large amounts of info, but if I do this in Alchemy, it is awkward. Same thing in Universe. I have a master article about magic with 8 links out on the details of each type of magic. Those 8 links need to trigger a separate browser tab, yet within each of the 8 articles, they should also not trigger a separate browser. So currently, anytime I need a new browser tab for an Alchemy to Alchemy link, I'm using a redirect to force a new browser tab. Clever. The current lack of a parameter or setting to force a new browser tab encourages me to link everything external of Alchemy instead of linking things internal to Alchemy. Or if this is not possible, can we have an Alchemy URL that allows us to force a redirect, in turn popping a new browser tab? I know there's been talk about a feature that will help with this, Sidecar, I think, and this will be a fantastic feature. But this will reduce the need for URL links. However, this will not remove the need for URL links or new browser tabs. Thank you very much for your efforts, Gray Lion. Yeah, so wow, this was a long one. Maybe a new record for the longest question that I've read on here. So congratulations, Gray Lion. We'll send you a medal or something. Maybe a badge for your profile. I don't know. But this brings up a few really painful scenarios. I can imagine that being not great to lose that data on a character sheet if you click out to like read about a spell or something. That's not good. So I don't think this will be that big of a deal for us to address, and I have a few ideas for how we could address it. The first and probably the best would be to include a pop-out button next to any link or button from an embed inside of our Markdown. So just a little, pop-out button next to it. I'm sure you can picture that. You've probably seen it on other websites before. But that will give you the ability to choose how you want it to open. You can click the button and have it do whatever the default is. Or you could click the pop-out button and know that clicking that is going to pop it out into a new tab or a new browser, kind of no matter what. The other option would be for us to extend our custom Markdown syntax to let you specify how that link should behave. And I guess we could also do both, right? We could let you define how that link or button behaves by default, and then also give that button for popping out no matter what was happening inside the Markdown for that button. So I think the bottom line is we do need to do something here. And honestly, this probably wouldn't be too big of a thing for us to do. So I think we'll probably do it fairly soon. The only thing that we have to balance is how this works in the app in your browser versus how it works in the desktop app for Alchemy, because those are kind of different flows for opening links and different environments. When you're in your browser, we know that opening a link in a new tab is most likely going to be in the same browser where you already have an Alchemy session. But if we open a new link in a new tab or browser from the Alchemy desktop app, our options are we either spawn a new window of the app, which could get a little weird, or we open your default browser, which you may not have an Alchemy session in, which would be okay for external tools. But anyway, a couple things for us to balance there, but all in all, I think this will be a pretty small thing for us to do and a really big improvement. So look for something here soon. And that is all we have time for in questions this week. Thanks again, Gray Lion, for the great question. All right, that is it for episode 48 of the Alchemy Devlog. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, head on down below, smash that like button, subscribe for future updates. Let us know what you liked about this episode and what you'd like to see in the future. Thanks for watching. Let's go play some games.